You're graduating at a time when our country, our continent, and the world are crying out for leaders who will lead us out of the challenges we face with minimum cost to humanity. While it's true that the entire world is going through turbulence, some parts of the world appear more troubled than others. For example, while the entire world is facing a financial crisis, you will agree with me that some countries are doing worse than others. For example, as South Africa, we're not doing as well during these troubled times as countries such as Botswana and Mauritius. Our unemployment levels too are a source of deep concern. The same applies to social justice concerns as reflected in a growing gap between the rich and poor and persisting inequalities that are racial in character. And the face of poverty in our country remains black and female. A lot of the challenges that are faced by the world are a symptom of a failure of leadership. But as I've already said, there are many leaders, and we are among those. It is therefore not that we lack leaders, that we face the challenges. We face our challenges today because of lack of appropriate leadership. In fact, a lot of fingers have been pointed at the executive branch of government. Some fingers have been pointed at corporations for failure to comply with the laws and failure to comply with social responsibilities. Some critics point to the weakening power of legislatures in terms of holding the executive accountable. In fact, it is argued that the executive has faced an increasing amount of power over the years with shrinking accountability. Interestingly, the judiciary has been praised for stepping up and providing leadership in cases of executive failure and legislative accountability failure. I must say, watching the judiciary discharge its responsibilities as the ultimate guardians of the Constitution has been a source of immense pride and joy. Even at Harvard, where I am currently based, the South African judiciary and our Constitution are frequently praised as important pillars of functional democracy. The institution I headed for 7 years has also been praised as one of the pillars of functional democracies. But there are two common factors between the judiciary and the public protector. They step in when the damage has already been caused. In fact, in the last 24 hours, I've had 2 people ask me for a comment whether having a judiciary constantly put us back on track regarding ethical governance and constitutional compliance is sustainable. We cannot have a state that depends on crusaders such as the judiciary and the public protector to do the right thing most of the time. For our democracies to stay on track, we need those who are entrusted with public power and public resources to get it right most of the time and drop the ball occasionally. We need appropriate leaders who understand the connection between what they do and what people do as followers. Leaders who say what they mean and mean what they say. Leaders who walk the talk. And leaders who say things that are consistent with the South Africa we want, the Africa we want, and the world we want. Dear colleagues, we lost such a leader this morning, Ahmed Kathrada. Before democracy, he was one of the leaders who were imprisoned for asking for an inclusive South Africa, where the color of a person was no justification for privileges or disadvantage. After that, he has persistently called for a South Africa that is inclusive, fought against racism, fought against corruption, fought against maladministration. Why I regard him as an appropriate leader is that he's somebody who has walked the talk. When he has spoken about selfless leadership, he didn't take the lion's share of our limited resources and use them for his own comfort. He understood that those that we put forward to be the guardians of democracy are supposed to be selfless and look after people's interests first before others. Like his colleagues, some of whom have left us, Ahmed Kathrada constantly reminded us about the importance of building a united nation, about the importance of non-racialism, non-sexism, but also about the importance of human solidarity and international solidarity. The world we want is in our hands, and together we can build the South Africa of our dreams and a world that affirms the humanity of everyone. Thank you to the University of Wits. Thank you to my family. 2 of my children are here, 1, 2, and Wenzi. And thank you all colleagues for this honor.